Alright, welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at a Japanese goal technique worth $700 million. And it's actually worth a lot more than that because it was also used by multiple Japanese companies and also is used by Toyota. But in this video, we're going to take a look at why this one is worth $700 million.
5歳の時、自分の道を決めました。僕は夢を叶えるためにこの表を作りました。これが僕の目標でした。可動域、奥行きをイメージ、スピード、仲間を思いやる心、感謝。これが僕の目標です。あなたの目標は何ですか？
So this is how it started, and this is how it went. So here you can see Shohei Ohtani got a $700 million Dodgers contract, right? So this is to play for the LA Dodgers, playing baseball. And this is one of the hugest contracts ever, and he's also considered one of the greatest baseball players of all time. So how does a guy go from Japan, come to America, and become one of the most spectacular players in baseball that the sport has ever seen? Well, a lot of it has to do with this fellow right here. So this is Takashi Harada. And what's interesting about him is he was a high school track and field coach at the worst school in Osaka, Japan. And after years studying the world's best coaches, he created his own system. And from there, his school went from being dead last to being the #1 school in Japan, producing 13 gold medal winners during his span. He also wrote a book called The Harada Method, The Spirit of Self-Reliance. So this book, it's basically got several things about it that are quite common that you're probably familiar with other kind of self-help people. So I'm just going to go through what some of the kind of characteristics are of it. One is about self-management. So individuals are encouraged to take responsibility for their own work and personal development. So they set their own goals and then they're accountable for achieving them. The second thing that's involved is about visualizing goals. So people who are taught to visualize their goals clearly, making them more tangible and achievable. And visualization is a key aspect of the method, helping individuals to stay focused on their objectives. And the third is about breaking down goals, right? It's kind of like, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. So just like goals, they're to be broken down into smaller, manageable tasks to facilitate progress incrementally. And the fourth part is about daily practice. So this emphasizes the importance of daily routines and habits that contribute to the achievement of long-term goals. And fifth is about measuring progress. So progress is measured and tracked regularly to provide feedback and guide adjustments in efforts. And the sixth is about continuous improvement. So this promotes the idea of continuous improvement, which is also known as Kaizen, also known as constant and never-ending improvement. And this is about encouraging individuals to evaluate their performance constantly and then seek ways to enhance their processes and achieve success. All right, so now let's get into more details about this Harada method. So here we have the it looks like chicken scratch, but this is Shohei Ohtani's goal sheet, and this is him using the Harada method. And so here's a clearer picture, but this is Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese. Here it is in English. So this is Shohei Ohtani's kind of a goal sheet, and you can see here, he wrote this in high school. Let's just get a clearer view so that makes more sense. So the way this works is the big goal is right here in the middle, in that yellow square. So his goal when he was in high school was to be the #1 draft pick in baseball. And you can see he's got some weird stuff on here, like he's got some body goals, and part of his body goals was to eat 3 bowls of rice in the morning and then have 7 bowls of rice at night. And you can see other stuff that he's got here. He's working on his speed, his sharpness, his control. All right, so let's start getting into the details. Now, this goal achieving method has basically got three chunks to it. The Open Window 64, which we're going to get into, the routine check sheet, and the daily diary. All right, so let's start taking this apart. So the Open Window 64 chart is a specific framework. It helps individuals develop 64 mini tasks and routines to support the goal defined on the long-term goal sheet. So that chart that we saw, it has 81 boxes, and the center is that ultimate goal, that big hairy goal, and it's surrounded by 8 smaller tasks that you believe are required to support that central goal. And then for each of those 8 smaller tasks, we're to identify 8 even smaller goals, right? So you find your big goal, you find the sub-goals of that, and then the sub-sub-goals of that, right? So from there, there's 64 steps that needs to be followed and finished to achieve that ultimate superstar goal. And so it's those 64 steps, which is what the name of this template is, and that's what helps to make this chart. All right, and the second thing is about this routine check sheet. So this is a daily checklist to help strengthen the individual's habits, and it's developed based on those 64 tasks that have been identified. So a daily checklist should not include more than 10 tasks. If it's more than that, well, then completing them might be a challenge and may not even do it, right? So the purpose of this routine check sheet is to facilitate the goal's achievement, not to stop progress at the start, right? It's kind of like with Seinfeld. You want it to keep those routines going, see how long you can keep the routine going. All right, so now that we know the routine check sheet, the third thing was about that daily diary. So the daily diary is similar to a typical to-do list. It helps plan individuals' days to help meet their ultimate goal. And then at the end of each day, the individual can see what was accomplished and what still needs work. So the daily diary is a tool to help keep track of the routine check sheet that was already created. All right, so now we know what these 3 main pieces are. Let's bring this down into the next level. So in the middle, in that kind of white square that we got right here, that's where that big, spectacular, audacious goal is supposed to go. So to do it, here's what the steps are. So first step is about answering questions based on self-reliance. And it's a gauge to see how self-reliant you are, and it gives you a baseline to work with. And then once you find your baseline, your goal is to improve upon them, basically to raise the baseline. All right, now to do this, there's a bunch of questions. There's like 36 questions. And we'll go through these together. You might want to do this on your own in your own time, but if not, we'll get through this one by one. So the way this works is we'll answer these questions with either a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And you can see here 1 is like not at all, and 5 is like strongly agree, right? So first question is about, I always have a grasp of my day's schedule in advance. Well, that's not me. I kind of disagree with that. So I would put a 2 there. Next one is, I understand my advantages and strengths well. Well, maybe. I'd give that a 3. Do I make a concrete image of negotiations and meetings before I get into them? Yeah, not so often. I would give that a 2. Right, so we basically go down the line here answering all of these. And then that'll give us a baseline as to see how reliant we are. All right, so I'm not too reliable, I can tell, but obviously that's something I can be improving upon and using that as kind of a way to cause me to get better results. So now once we got that kind of done, our second step is to create the long-term goal. So this is your North Star. This is where your actions will be directed towards. And this will organize your goals, your purposes, self-analysis, and action plan. Step 3 is to analyze your obstacles to success. And all right, this is what Shohei Ohtani was doing, right? He went through all of these steps. So once you do that, you can create countermeasures to solve those obstacles before they happen, right? So maybe he didn't know what he was supposed to eat. Well, then he does. He's supposed to eat 10 bowls of rice, right? 3 in the morning, 7 at night. And then that helps you plan tasks and routines to help achieve the goal when the going gets rough. And then step 4, this is kind of the fun part, is where you create that Open 64 chart. And that Open 64 is a framework for coming up with the tasks and the routines to accomplish the goal. So here you create the 8 pillars that will serve as principles to your achievement. And then around those, we fill in the tasks needed to achieve each one of them. So here take a look at his Open 64 sheet. And Ohtani had these 8 big goals attached to his super goal. So he wanted to work on his body, control, sharpness, make the speed of 100 miles an hour for throwing the ball, pitch variance, karma, personality, and mental toughness, right? So these are the 8 sub-goals related to his main goal. So then for body, right, he would have 8 more goals to go with that. So he'd work on his stamina, on flexibility, and take his supplements, and eat his rice. And then we go for the next one, which is about mental toughness. So in here he'd be, thrive on adversity, right? So instead of moaning about losing, he would just figure out ways to be able to bounce back. Don't make waves, be dedicated to winning, right? So that kind of gives you an idea as to how he had his chart organized. All right, so for yourself, you might want to have your big superstar goal in the middle and then understand what sort of that 8 sub-goals around it might be, and then you can branch off, right, to figure out how to facilitate the accomplishment of those goals and make those come to fruition. All right, now step 5 is about creating a checklist of routines. So set a system of habits that will make the goal an inevitability. Right? So have a list that you check daily to ensure that you're hitting the actions you need to make your vision a reality. Right? So that's that routine check sheet. All right, now the last step is about that diary. So this is step 6. So you want to keep a daily performance journal. And the journal is broken down into tasks to be completed and a reflection on your performance at the end of the day. So the journal is meant as a way to build self-awareness while keeping you in line with your target, right? So I know this seems kind of tough and organized, but it was with this discipline and with this road plan that enabled him to be able to get that contract for $700 million and also allows all those other companies to achieve success. All right, so I hope that works out for you, and hope you take that for a spin. This is DS Ivan at reprogrammingmind.com. Bye for now.